Hello, everyone. I'm doing a presentation over human growth and development for my human growth and development class, and this is for healthy development. So, throughout life, there are a lot of opportunities you can make in order to either hurt or help your development, as well as those around you for the choices that you make. Um, so, whichever way you develop, it affects you for the rest of your life, whatever decision you make in that moment to either have alcohol when you're pregnant, it affects your baby more than it would you. There's a bunch of examples that I'll get to. So I'm using my textbook, which is the seventh edition of Lifespan and Development, as well as electronic sources I have used in order to study these topics. So the thesis of this is no matter where you are in your life and what age, there are important developments going on. And I think the most important of these are those that happened when you're a child and the developments you have during childhood, even before that when you're a fetus. So, the first development that happens is obviously in the womb. So, there are a lot of things that could happen while in the womb. If your mother decides to partake in alcohol, then it'll be fetal alcohol syndrome. When this happens around age 6, they start noticing you're going to be a lot smaller than other kids your age. Your brain, in addition to that, is also going to be smaller. It's possible to have heart defects, hearing loss, and then cosmetic abnormalities, such as your face looks a little flatter and the space between your lip and nose is longer than normal. If your mother would choose to partake of marijuana while she's pregnant, you'll also be shorter, and then the IQ of the child will be lower than that of its peers. Heroin is one that you can possibly miscarriage, as you can with all of these. If it does, if the baby does survive, it'll be an early labor possibly, and then 60 to 80% of the children born will already be addicted to heroin or whatever substance it is on. So this causes them to have a withdrawal symptoms, and they can have tremors, or they'll be very unconsolable. They'll just want to, it's not normal for them not to be on it, so they'll want to do anything they can to feel normal again. They can also vomit and just, they won't be comfortable, honestly. So the next stage is Erickson stages. So this starts during birth, or not during birth, but birth to 1 year. So the first one is trust and mistrust. This will be with their caregiver. Like, can I trust you? Can I trust the decisions I make? Or should I not trust you? Like, are you going to hurt me? Are you going to do things that aren't good for me? The next one is 1 to 3 years, and that's autonomy versus shame and doubt. So, the physical skills that lead to demand for more choices, saying no to caregivers. So, are they going to be able to, like, kind of stand up to their caregiver, or maybe not stand up, but disobey them? And then 3 to 6 years, initiative versus guilt. So, this is their purpose. Like, can they organize things? Can they get what they need together to reach their goal? And then 6 to 12 years would be industry versus inferiority. This is competence, culture, skills, and norms, including school skills and tools. Can they use tools to also get towards their common goal, and do they know how to get to their common goal and what tools to use? 12 to 18 years is identity versus role confusion. Do they know who they are, who they want to be, or are they jumping to and from different ideas of who they think that they should be, or do they have trouble finding their identity? And then 18 to 30 be intimacy versus isolation. So this has to do with love. Like, can they be in a relationship, or are they by themselves? Are they wanting to be isolated? Are they kind of antisocial? Or what kind of goes on with that has to do a lot with, again, like the trust and mistrust and kind of how they were as a child. If they think they can trust people, they're going to be more likely to be in a relationship. If they feel like they can't, then that'll cause them to want to be isolated. And 30 years to late adulthood is generativity versus stagnation. So this is care, like if you have children, are you going to focus more on them or the next generation? Like, can you focus on the next generation and be creative with them? And then the final one is late adulthood. This is integrity versus despair. It kind of has to do with wisdom. Like, can they look at their life and review and be happy with how it was? Or are they more of like, no, like, I don't want to die? So this is like the earlier stages and comes to terms with basic identity, kind of come to terms with who they were and the choices they made in their life, and just coming to terms with their life is nearing the end and the less eventful stages. So the next one that I find to be important is the end of the life stage. So this is how one takes to retirement. Do they get a bridge job, or do they go completely kind of cold turkey from having a full-time job to being retired and kind of getting groceries and having a leisure Wednesday afternoon or whatever it would consist of for them? So a bridge job would be going from their full-time job to a more, maybe like a part-time job, and it would just be, it'd be slower than their full-time job, but still they'd still feel that they're doing purpose and still kind of contributing to society as taking up that role. Another possibility is after maybe even they do the bridge job, and then after that they're not doing anything. And as this happens more when they're forced out of a job, only if it's because of health reasons or the company feels like they're a little bit too old to be learning this new stuff. So when that happens, they might feel useless, like, oh, I'm not contributing to society, I'm not doing anything, I'm just sitting here collecting my Social Security. And in that sense, suicide does happen a lot of times, not a lot of times, but with older white males, it's possible for them to get to the point where they feel they're really not helping anything or anyone, that they feel the need to take their life. So bridge jobs do help this, but for some people it just prolongs the inevitable of them eventually feeling like they're not contributing enough. So all of the above are equally as important to one another, but the ones at the beginning of life kind of really affect the ends of the life ones. For example, if they learn as a child not to trust anyone, then that's going to affect them their whole life, rather than if they decide to get a bridge job or not at the end of their life, that won't affect their life before that time. It'll just affect their life at the end and kind of how they decide to conduct themselves. So each of these stages affect you and affects the ones around you. For example, your spouse, your kids, whichever stages that you decide to take more seriously than the others. And then again, no matter where you are in your life and what age, there are important developments going on with you and your body, mentally and physically. And then the relevance, the relevance to the audience would be the healthy ways to transition into each stage and be successful in each stage of development. And the final impact would be how each of these choices make a difference, whether you're with child or setting an example for your toddler for the trust and mistrust and shame and doubt, things like that. Just really think, like, this is going to affect them for the rest of their lives. So before you are kind of quick to yell or discipline them for something that they maybe shouldn't have done, just kind of think back to yourself, like, is this going to make them not trust people? Like, don't be like, let them do whatever they want, but maybe take into consideration, like, this is something that they'll use this example for the rest of their life. Closing remarks. Thank you for watching this, and I hope it was informative to you, and thank you for your time. All right.